Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of my McLaren Return to Glory career mode here on F1 23. This of course season 2 and we are here for round 3 at the Australian Grand Prix. Now before we jump into the action guys, if you want to see the last episode at Saudi Arabia, go check it out, link in the top right. Really fun race and we're starting to realise the field is really tight and really close, so this is going to be a fun weekend. But yeah, we have a couple of upgrades on the way on the 24th, so let's get into it. Spoiler warning has been given and let's get to action. So first things first is purchasing a fuel efficiency upgrade. It's not the best, but I have the biggest discount on it, so we're going to take it and get it out of the way right now. And then we also got confirmation of those two upgrades that we had scheduled arriving, so the exhaust and the hydraulics. The hydraulics actually unlocks the brake disc width, which is one that I've been waiting for a long time, because I've noticed this season I'm struggling on the brakes. I just cannot get the car stopped. Now we can't afford it right now, so we'll get that one at the start of the next episode, but that is a very key upgrade for me because I cannot get the car stopped as good as last season. The upgrades have made the car very fast now, the engine's very strong, and we need brakes to match that, and we don't have that right now. So that is becoming the most pressing issue for me right now in terms of drivability of this car in this career mode. With that said, we've got no rain forecast, and here is the performance chart. So you can see we've taken a pretty big step forward this weekend. We've closed the gap massively, and we are the biggest movers this weekend in terms of outright performance. We're pretty close to Haas. We pull away from Alpine, Ferrari now at the top of the pile, and Red Bull, Aston Martin, Mercedes, all in that little tight little space up the sharp end. So we jump into practice and we're going to get the car up to speed. Felt pretty decent. I ran a pretty low downforce setup and it seems to be working well. We're currently P1 and we close out our run of the race strategy sim with a purple score, so a pretty smooth session. We got also a decent tyre wear, which is just above 1%, which is always a good sign. Fuel consumption is actually surprisingly lower than I thought, considering this track has been revised and has been improved and is mostly flat out now and has a lot of straights. But yeah, besides that, everything went well. We got a decent amount of development boosts, which is also a very welcome. Lando getting 8 of them actually, which is a really welcome surprise, and already getting discounts on the brake upgrade, which is what I'm looking for the next episode. So yeah, very good progress and things are moving forward. We now jump into qualifying, and so far I will admit it has been a bit of a struggle this season qualifying. Now don't get me wrong, I know exactly why that's the case. I won't bore you with it, but basically it's the same game as the last 2-3 F1 games, which basically means when upgrades start to really become, let's say heavy on the car, there's a lot of upgrades on, the AI become ridiculous in terms of one lap pace, which has been the story for the last 4 years now, and that bug or that inconsistency is still in the game. So qualifying may be a struggle for us all season, possibly it may even get worse. Anyway, as you can see, currently we're in qualifying 1, looking to try and close out a decent Q1 session. Currently P13, we're now going to go for a second lap because my first one wasn't that great. It was a pretty safe lap, so I feel like there's more time to find, and we're going to see if we can improve on this second run. And straight away you can see we're up by 600ths as we head into turn 3, getting the car stopped as we now open up turn 4. Important to try and clip the inside curb here to rotate the car, and already finding a pretty decent chunk of time in sector 1. I actually went up on the front wing by 1 value from practice to qualifying. I felt like I was lacking a bit in sectors 1 and 3. So I wanted to try and help that out, and you can see it's made a big difference. We're 2 tenths up and we're flying on this second attempt. So yeah, prepare the chicane. This is going to be 6th gear, possibly up to 7th, so don't touch too much of the inside curb on the left. We get lucky there to not lose the balance too much, but on the exit, because of that first part, we just lost the balance a little bit. We unfortunately invalidated when we was 3 tenths up, which is a real shame. So yeah, that lap's in the bin and it's not going to count. Right now we're P13 and in the danger zone, so we have to improve. We're safe by 2 tenths over Magnussen, but that's not exactly a lot. So we could have done with that first lap, or the one we had done before. So we're going to have to go out again and burn another set of tyres, and yeah, we'll see if we can hopefully get through on this run. So we've got fuel for another lap if necessary, just to be safe. For now though, I've actually gone down on the front wing. So turn 1, 5th gear, I don't quite get the apex, so I dipped to 4th to get some rotation, but so much understeer, and I realised straight away that that down click of front wing was a big mistake. My pace in practice was really good, and in qualifying it's kind of mysteriously disappeared, so I don't know why. So I went back to the practice setup and it actually isn't working that well. So we'll try again, and we'll see if we can improve. This time we get turn 1 under control, but we're not finding time. Had to scrub off a lot of speed, and that lost us time. Checkered flag drops as we head to turn 3. Third gear again, just trying to get the car stopped. Important here to get the inside of turn 4, like I mentioned before, to get the exit and the drive, but we have to wait so long to get the power down, and that was a bit of a scruffy turn 5. Through the next right-hander into sector 2, and we lose a bit of time on entry. We gain it back on the exit, but this isn't the lap we were looking for before. At this point, it was 2 tenths up, 2.5 tenths up. Instead, we're only a fraction up right now, so this isn't looking great. Right now, we're P16 and out of qualifying into the chicane. This time, avoiding the inside curb and getting a much better run through there, and that finds us some time. So maybe now we can start to make some progress. Spot the 50. I'm really struggling in this brake zone with the brakes to get the car stopped after, really push them hard and not lock up. Exit wasn't that great. The next right-hander also a bit, inconsistent, a bit of oversteer, kicking inside to drift the car. And now through the final few corners, looking to try and close out the lap here. That was a decent exit up until the very last moment when we got some oversteer. And across the line we go, and we're out of qualifying, which was a big surprise. Yeah, annoying. I think the setup adjustment going down to the front wing didn't work, and it backfired. I thought it would have been better for us, but we didn't actually gain that much on the straights, considering we was running less wing on the second run. So for the race, I'm definitely going to put the wing back on, and that should help hopefully improve our race pace a little bit. But that's a big concern, man. Another Q1 knockout and a big surprise. I wasn't expecting that. We was actually really fast in practice. We finished for the first time this season in the top 14, which is very rare. Practice I'm always last, so I thought it was a good sign of, pace improvement. But in qualifying, that AI seemed to really ramp it up and find some pace. So, yeah, we're out. And the worst thing is that lap we had invalidated in that first run was actually good enough to get us through. So, yeah, fine margins, but a costly error. So, yeah, lessons learned, and we're going to have to fight back in the race.
This circuit missed a few years off the F1 calendar, and we missed Albert Park. So welcome back, and it's great to be back in Melbourne. Welcome to the Australian Grand Prix. So here we are at Albert Park Circuit, 3.28 miles around, with the streets making for a bumpy surface with little undulation. There are 14 corners around the lake, with the best passing opportunities coming at turn 1 and turn 3. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Russell, Sainz, Perez, Verstappen, Leclerc, Norris, Albon, Ocon, Hülkenberg, Oscar Piastri, Magnussen, Gasly, Tsunoda, Martinez, Joe, Théo Pourchaire, Sargent, and Nick de Vries. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
Here we go then, time for the race at Australia, P16, and familiar territory for us so far this season. Exact same territory as Jeddah in the last race, and we also have the exact same strategy options, which, as you know, if you watch Jeddah, and also Bahrain to be fair, we went for the medium to hard tyre strat, which worked pretty well in both races. So we're going to go for that once again here today. Fuel, I'm going to go a bit lighter, 0.8. I learnt my lesson from Bahrain and Jeddah. We can definitely risk a bit more on the fuel side of things. The key thing here, though, is going to be set up. So the wing, which is what I was running in qualifying, we're going to fix this to +4 offset, and that is what I was using in my first qualifying run when my pace was a bit better. So hopefully this makes a difference. I feel like I'm losing time though on the braking. That's the big thing I'm struggling with right now. So we need those upgrades on ASAP. Anyway, prediction down below, guys. Where do you think we'll finish? Can we once again break a top 6? Let's find out. Like, subscribe, and let's get to work. Here we go. Round number 3. Let's line her up. Quite a few cars on soft tyres, so we may be at a disadvantage early on. But anyway, we'll fight and play the long game. Hopefully we're strong. Here we go. Revs, 9,000. Quick 5 lights and we're underway. Good start. Bit of wheel spin, but we get the jump on Tsunoda. Might be able to have a look at Magnussen here, to be fair. Although he tries to go on the outside of Gasly. Bit of contact up ahead as we make our way through turn 2. Getting an early warning there, to be fair. That could be a problem later on. Gonna send it on the brakes here, up the inside of multiple cars, which gives us briefly P12, but we have to settle for 13th as Hulkenberg pulls ahead. Looks like everyone has opted for the softs, in the majority anyway, so that should be interesting. Let's see if we can try and hold pace with this medium tyre early on. Also, we'll get to see what the straight line speed looks like with that slightly higher front wing. Right now, Magnussen lurking and looking like he tries to get past, but he doesn't quite have enough straight line speed to go around the outside. Got to try and keep the chicane nice and tidy. That exit was right on the limit of what track limits could be. Magnussen went for it and then thought about it again and hesitated. Ocon Sainz side by side on medium tyres, so that's good to see. Means we've got some people on the same compound, so those are realistically more our sort of target. Those on softs may not be, although I reckon everyone will one stop, but the softs should die off pretty quick. Tyre was pretty high on those in practice. Anyway, end of lap 1, and it looks like we've got some decent straight line speed in the main straight, so we can pull away from Magnussen, but can we do the same thing on this second straight? Yes, we can. Magnussen battling with Gasly by the looks of it, so pressure off. We can now settle into this race. Got to make sure we stay within a second. That's the key thing.
Okay, DRS will be enabled this lap. You can use it when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
Right then, we've achieved our target. Got DRS in the cars ahead, which is what we want. Although it's not being used just yet, it'll be used in the back straight. There's a bit of a check-up up ahead, so some time being lost, so we've all formed into a nice big train. The brakes are struggling. If I carry any overspeed and I try to brake at my usual point, we're just going straight on. Bit of battling up ahead, but everyone for the most part behaving so far and keeping the order as is. Albon side by side with Sainz. Albon seems to be the cork in the bottle here. I think he's on a medium tyre from what I can tell. That has now released some cars, so Leclerc's gone through, now Sainz is looking to go through. I'm still lacking a little bit of pace at this stage. The soft runners still have an advantage by the looks of it. But we'll see. I think Lando's up the road as well, although I think he's ahead of Albon. They're gradually one by one.
Information on Porsche. They seem to have an issue.
One by one, they're all getting through. Porsche's behind, so that's not really a concern. I think it's 3 wide. Yes, it is. Leclerc. I can see that green from back here. There's a Red Bull involved as well. Gasly has overtaken Magnussen. I'm going to try and go for it in Hulkenberg here. There's a few opportunities starting to open up. Ocon there just blocks me from getting through. Oh, we've got a blow up. It's Albon. We'll take that.
Green flag.
Illegal. Really?
That move was illegal, I'm afraid, mate. Return the position, give it back.
Oh, I'm going to take the penalty. I'm going to take the pen. I don't care. I'm not waiting for that. That's so unfortunate. Right, let's try and push and see what kind of pace we have in clean air. They're battling up ahead. Pushing like crazy right now to see if I can try and make some progress. Let's see if I can try and get within DRS of those cars ahead. That would be so important for our race. Sainz and Leclerc side by side throughout the entire final sector. The two former teammates. This is helping us catch up. I'm using a lot of battery here to see if I can get within Sainz's DRS, but he seems to be pulling away. He's still got DRS on Leclerc, which is really annoying. Because I'm just going to fall short at the moment. Because of the 4 DRS zones, it's so hard to catch back up. I'm pretty sure everyone ahead is faster than me now. I don't really have the pace. A bit like Jeddah and Bahrain again, the consistency's there in terms of the AI's pace and ours. We just seem to be lacking a little bit in all 3 of these races so far. My only hope is that Leclerc and Sainz catch up to Norris, and I'm assuming it's Perez in the Red Bull.
Okay, be careful. We think you're going to start losing some tyre grip any time now.
And hopefully that merges into a 4-car battle, and that might cost them some time. So right now they've merged up. It's a 4-car train for P5. We'll see how that kind of pans out. Hopefully they battle quite heavily and we get a chance to close in again. I'm going to box this lap, a lap earlier, to try and undercut the cars ahead. I'm also relying on hopefully them battling on the in-lap, which might help us out. Also, Piastri pit on that last lap, he's 2 seconds behind, so he's undercutting me, which is also a bit of a trigger while I'm pitting a bit earlier. Hopefully this also benefits Lando when he pits next lap, so he can not lose too much time. But let's box. That was perfect. We have to get ourselves somehow in that DRS train ahead. It's so fast. If we can get in there, that would really make our race, especially with this penalty now. I forgot about this, to be fair. I thought we could serve at the end instead of serving it now, which is going to really hurt us. At least we get rid of it though, so we can still fight for points. Right, our lap is going to be key. Piastri is going to pass us, although it could be close, to be fair.
Up to speed now, let's get some heat into those tyres.
Really close, Piastri. It's going to go through. Oh, Gasly just goes past, but spins.
Okay, clear.
Surely that's going to be a safety car. Gasly's still in the race by the looks of it. Yes, he is. So not permanent damage, just wing damage, but he's still in the race. Well, that was a moment and a half. Right, I've got to try and push off the Piastri here. Although he's on a medium tyre, so that's not going to be easy. And we've got faster cars on faster tyres. Pierre now out of the race. I'm not even going to try to battle this. This is ridiculous. No DRS, and you're so powerless here at this track. Hulkenberg has closed his DRS now. I don't have DRS. What the hell is that about? That's a weird one. Anyway. Yeah, this penalty, man, it completely ruined it for me. I really wasn't aware. I thought I could just serve it at the end of the race, but that has dropped us into enemy territory, which I really didn't need right now. Anyway, other cars in the pits. We'll see exactly where we are. Looks like we might just be ahead of Zhou. Yep, there we go. And I believe that's Ocon just up the road as we get a second warning for track limits. Lando in the pit lane. Hulkenberg battling now with Ocon. So Lando didn't pit with the option of pitting a lap earlier thanks to my early stop. He chose to stay out, so must be feeling good on tyres. Anyway, this sort of forecast scrap now is for a single point, and that's just the reality of this race. Unless something were to happen, I can't really complain with the penalty, to be fair. Lando's at the back of that train, which he was in before. Just want to play a long game here.
Caution, caution.
Oh, okay, another yellow. And it's the other Alpine. Wow, what a race for them. Both cars out.
Green flag.
Right, that gives us P12. Will there be a safety car? Looks like there won't be. Safety car allergic to make its appearance felt so far this season. Magnussen and Hulkenberg. Let's see how this kind of peters out. This is now big time loss versus Piastri. I'm trying to slide the inside of Hulkenberg here. I still think we can catch Oscar, but we're going to have to be perfect with the way we execute it. The Alfa Romeo's got some pretty insane straight line speed. I've been trying to see if I can get a bit closer, but even on this straight, Magnussen is very quick. Now we're going to get a run, but you can see he's holding his own without DRS. Have to go all the way around the outside and send it. I was very close to a track limit there. I'm getting a penalty as we're on 2 warnings. Piastri seems a bit too fast, I think. The gap isn't as small as I'd hoped for, and I think he's pulling away. I'm not too sure about my own pace in clean air. I think we're just down on pace in general here. I feel better with 56 bias, which seems to be a quick fix to the lack of braking power, but generally I think we're down on pace. Well, we've managed to drop the 2 cars behind, but I'm not making a dent into Piastri. I'm using a lot of battery, and it's only gave me a 10th. Oscar's too fast, the Aston Martin's too fast. Just got to try and make sure we hold on to P10 now. That's the best we can hope for, really. I'm getting close, but I'm running out of fuel. I'm pushing like crazy. I'm also on the limit on battery. I probably could catch him, to be fair, by the last lap, but I'm going to have to save fuel at some point. Also, I think Piastri's means are starting to wane away a little bit. But on my heart, ain't exactly fresh anymore. We pit only 1 lap apart. So Hamilton wins yet again. Mercedes looking very strong this season. They seem to be back. They were showing signs end of season 1, and now they're looking very strong this year. As for us, I got the gap down to 1.8 on Piastri, but then fuel became an issue, so I had to manage. So yeah, we'll take a P10. It's not ideal, but it keeps the point scoring streak rolling, and we go to the next one. We're just lacking something right now, and I can't figure it out.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Yet another historic win under their belts. Well done to the whole team at Mercedes. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Quite simply, a driver is nothing without the team behind them. So, a deserved winner, but we do have to give a shout out to the team in the pit lane and back at the factory. Very much a collaborative process.
Well, Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
Right, there we go then. Race results in for Australia. Mercedes 1-2, and it was a convincing, dominant 1-2. Hamilton, though, gets the measure of George, who picked up the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. So Mercedes getting maximum points here today. Perez, our rival, P3, which is bad news. Leclerc, P4. His qualifying pace isn't great, but his race pace is really strong. And possibly the strongest, to be fair, but his qualifying is putting him so far back, he can't really challenge. Bottas, also P5. Very impressive so far in his Ferrari debut, and getting the measure of signs. Verstappen only P7. Lando scores points again in P8, and Piastri P9, and we finish in P10. So, yeah, pretty much that is the overview right now. That's the top 5 teams, the best teams. So Mercedes, Red Bull, Aston Martin, Ferrari, and McLaren in that order. I would say that those 5 are the best. Alpine are pretty strong, but they had reliability issues today with the double DNF, which definitely wasn't ideal. But yeah, standings after 3 rounds. We are 8th, Lando is 9th, and we're chilling. We're not where we want to be. I want to try and be a bit hard on this, but the reality is we're just lacking a bit of pace right now. In the Constructors, we're P5. Aston Martin overtake us with that P4 result from Leclerc. Piastri, of course, gets his first points of the season with that P9 as well, so he's on the mark. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Early days yet, long season, still 20 races to go. A lot can happen, so I'm not really worried. The good thing is we've scored points with both cars in all 3 races, so we're looking pretty consistent, and that's a good sign. But yeah, guys, cheers for watching. Like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, as always, a big shout out to the members for supporting the channel and the content. Finally, check out the 2 videos on screen if you haven't seen them, guys. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and let's go back from me.